What's happening, APLers? Here with a week 5 review. A little earlier than last week, but still not as early as I'd like. So try to get these out on Monday night, Tuesday morning in the future. So first matchup we're going to go through is Sade and Tank. Big one for the division over there. And as you can see, we're highlighted by Mr. Purdy here, who, spoiler alert, came through this week as Tank needed a big performance out of his quarterback in the last game of the week for them. But so they got things started with the big 476 from Sam Howell. 55 straight passing plays starting sometime in the second quarter from Mr. Bieniemy leads to a huge Sam Howell night. So City is off to a great start there. Threw in 180 from Darren Waller as the Giants try to catch up with the Dolphins the whole game. Sets the stage really nice for today. Rest of the guys just did all right. Kirk was good over in London, not great. Puka, still a good game, but definitely offset a little bit by Cup coming back and doing his thing. And then the rest of the guys were just all right. Still leads to 1,291 points for today. Great week, huge number. Problem is, to get some guys that just went nuts. So ETN puts up 230 in that London game. He was kind of unstoppable. Diggs, same game, 139 points, doing well. Kelsey looked like he might have been dead, but he returns. Superman comes back, catches a bunch of passes, puts up his standard 164 points for Tank. So Tank goes into Sunday night, needing pretty decent game from Purdy and Ayuk, and he gets it. So Purdy puts up 349 against the supposed to be tough Cowboy defense. That didn't look very tough. Ayuk was fine with 62, and Tank posts a big 1333 number. So pretty big win, pretty big matchup between these two. Today is the tough luck loser going over 1,200 points the second time this year and getting a loss, which just kind of was a bitch. So I thought today would win by 68, thought it would be tight, but kind of flipped the other way. Tank wins by 42. So moves Tank to 4-1, moves today to 3-2 with those two tough losses, as I mentioned. So next matchup here, there's the man, DJ Moore, the guy who I've talked about almost every week that Jake said he hated drafting him, but probably doesn't anymore. That's a little foreshadowing on this one. So we'll go through Ryan's results here first. Ryan gets another good Cousins game, 358, kind of what was expected in that one. Laporta's good again, 137, and the rest of the roster is just okay. Henry, not great against the Colts. Jonathan Taylor, turned out it was a Zach Moss day, not a Jonathan Taylor day. Who knew? Olave, allegedly was hurt a little bit in warm-ups or whatever, so he caught a touchdown, but that was about it. Debo, solid day. Wan'Dale Robinson, supposed to be a thing last year. He gets everything behind the line of scrimmage and just gets crushed right away. So Ryan posts a big 960 this week, kind of his second week in a row where he's probably not super happy with his score. And Jake put up a huge number. So DJ Moore got it started with 298 on Thursday night. The newly minted Jamar Chase says I can do that almost too. Puts up 267. Kittle does his thing. There's a big Kittle game with 197, and those numbers are just kind of impossible to compete with. So much so that Jake can just start T. Higgins, who didn't even play, and gets a 0, and it doesn't even matter. So 1409 from Jake, big old number, with a human number from Christian McCaffrey this week, outscored by AJ Dillon. That's kind of embarrassment for McCaffrey, but it doesn't matter. Those receivers were ridiculous. So thought Jake could win by 177, and Jake wins by 449 with the high score of the week. So nice win by Jake there to move him up to 3-2. His Chase trade pays off immediately. Ryan drops to 3-2. Creates a little log jam in that division there, which we'll talk about later. Next matchup is me versus Daggy. So there's Breece Hall, big eyes going, I can't believe they are leaving holes that are this wide open, but I'll take it. So, I don't know, similar to Jake, but not as impressive as Jake. The story for my team really was Josh Allen, Breece Hall, and Tyreek. They put up big numbers, and The rest of it was just okay. James Cook, not great. CD, not great. Tank Dell, hurt. Jake Ferguson was like a really big highlight for me, 59 points. At tight end, that might be like more than I've had all season combined at the tight end spot. So it's a pretty big deal. Justin Tucker continues to not kick field goals, and it's great. So luckily, the Broncos can't stop anybody. The Giants also can't stop anybody. And Josh Allen is Josh Allen. He puts up some big numbers. I was scared of Daggy going into the week. Stafford got 283 and like barely had the ball. Eagles ran the ball a lot and controlled the game heavily there. Otherwise, when Stafford had the ball for the most part, they were moving it. So Stafford and Kupp could have had a lot more if the Eagles weren't able to control the game the way they did. Mixon had 29 touches and got 98 points. It was kind of interesting. He had what seemed like 10 carries from within the 5 and just couldn't score a touchdown. Jameson Williams, he got 2 passes. One was negative yards, one was for a little bit. So probably some upside there as he gets up to speed with everything. So Diggy posted an 869. It's kind of the what it could have, should have probably for Daggy here if he holds on to Chase. There's a big number instead of Jameson Williams. Pitts had a huge game on the bench, I think like 180 points. And then Zach Moss had a huge game too, also on the bench. But I think it'd be hard pressed to throw Zach Moss in over Connor and Mixon because it was supposed to be the JT coming out party. Anyway, thought I'd win by about a $1.20, won by 343. Moves me to 5-0, moves Daggy to 1-5. Next matchup here in our division. Here's the guy that Greg was hoping he drafted in the 3rd round. It all worked this week. So kind of to go along with the same theme as the week for Jake and I. Greg gets 430 out of Jalen Hurts and 262 out of Goddard. Just big games from his 2nd and 3rd round picks. That stack there is exactly what he'd been hoping for all year long, and finally got it in week 5, and it comes out to pushing to 1,080 points. Disappointment here probably with most of the rest of the starters. JJ obviously got hurt. We all know about him. Down game for him. The running backs can't put up 100 points together. Hollywood had a nice touchdown, but probably hoping for more there too. But it doesn't matter. This Hurts and Goddard did their thing. On Corey's side, Corey gets a solid game from Mahomes. Josh Jacobs does his thing. Corey starts Josh Reynolds against Greg. Greg had given up on Josh Reynolds. He gets 100 points for Corey. But the 262, that 200-point difference there at tight end is just hard to overcome. Ingram actually has a kind of an off day for him. That's the first time he's been under 100 points all year. And for some reason, Devontae didn't get the ball at all last night. Tyler Boyd had a touchdown that was called back on a weak penalty. So Greg sneaks away with his first win of the year. Thought Corey would win this one, but I was wrong. Greg wins it pretty handily, pretty easily. So Greg moves to 1-4. Corey moves to 2-3. Last matchup of the week here. Here's the man for Solomon for now. That was a fun 3 weeks. We'll see when he comes back. The Solomon takes on Ross. There was a lot of trash talk here, and most of it's pretty hilarious. Solomon's like really good at trash talk. I should publicize it all for everybody because it's pretty enjoyable. But he gets a big game. Trevor Lawrence is like the first guy to go over 200 points against the Bills defense, and he does a bunch of it to Calvin Ridley. So that stack works out really good. Devin Achane, he had I think it was like a 74-yard touchdown run, and it just looked like he was barely running, and he just blew by everybody. Just ridiculous, the angles that he created on that touchdown run, and nobody could do anything about it. Hawkinson gets 107. He could get more if he would actually catch the ball. It's a bit of a problem, but Solomon posts a big number with the big games again from Lawrence, Achane, and Ridley. Bijan was just okay, 70 points. He'd hope for more against the Texans, and then Christian Watson in the lineup last night. He looked like fun. If Love could hit him on some deep balls, that number could be even bigger. But 89 is good. Most of it on that 177-yard pass. Ross just probably disappointed by some of his some of his dogs that he thinks are going to carry him to the title. Lamar has a 283, plays at the Steelers. Steelers do a really good job of stymieing him and holding to 283. Pollard gets a tough matchup against the 49ers. The whole Dallas offense looked like shit. And Pollard did the same for 58 points. Monty ripped off a big touchdown run. Again, really good. Panthers are really bad at defense. He capitalized. A.J. Brown was great once again. But Jerry Jeudy still sucks. And the defense is like really bad. So get a whole whopping 45 points out of the 3 defenders there. Might need to make some changes there. Andrews is okay. Jacoby Myers doing some good stuff. Elliott, kind of a down game for him. But anyway, Solomon comes out. I thought Solomon would win in a close one. 19 points. Solomon wins by 111. And the psalmist said this is the turning point in his season. So we'll see how it goes from there. Go through the weekly stuff here. These are the guys who scored the most points. We've talked about most of them already. But Sam Howell with 476, ETN with the 230, DJ Moore 298, and Goddard 262. Goddard has the high score this year for tight end for the season. The worst guys of the week. Lamar and Stafford both tied at 283 was the low quarterback score for the week for a starter. James Cook, my dude at 24 running back was bad. T. Higgins, 0 at wide receiver was the worst. We also had a 4 from Jameson Williams and a 7 from Devonta Smith, but Higgins gets the nod here because but he didn't even play. Zach Ertz, 42 in the first week since week 2, where I didn't have the lowest scored in tight end, so it was pretty great. Go for the awards for the week here. The MVP slash who put some ranch on that would be DJ Moore. Just set the tone early in the week with the 298 points. Gives Jake a bunch of confidence and really leads him to victory there. The router of the week, I'll go with Devonta Smith, 7 points for Tank. It didn't affect him in the end. Tank still got the win, but still kind of, other than week 1, it's been a little off for Devonta. So maybe he gets the squeaky wheel treatment that Goddard got last week. The no shit award for the week, I went with Purdy. Tank had to make a waiver wire choice here this week at quarterback with Geno on bye, and Purdy against the supposedly awesome Cowboy defense, maybe a little bit questionable, but he came through with the 349 there for Tank. So we'll do that one. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. Sorry, Jake, just keep bragging on this one. But yeah, I wouldn't start a guy who was announced that he was out like a while back. So should have started. We'll go Daggy with the Zach Moss there. Again, I think it's a tough call to start him when all the hype was about Taylor coming out. And as the Titans run D was been really good until this week. It's still a big number from Moss. Would have been good at Shamrock, goes to Sade again. 3rd highest point total, comes out with a loss. So we'll take a look at the standings now and see what those are looking like. So in the Mia Khalifa division, that we may need to review the naming of that division and see if Jake has a second favorite based on her commentary about what's going on over in the Middle East. We need to look into that. But Tank, with the big win over today, moves into 4-1 and has first place to himself. Has a 3-0 division record there too, which is going to help him in head-to-head tiebreakers down the road. And the point total is okay for Tank. Might need to score a little more there if you get into multi-team tiebreakers or whatever. So today, Ryan, Jake, all knotted up there at 3-2. Points is what will decide that tiebreaker at this point. So that's how it's ordered for now. And then Day is 0-5 in the Diane Lane division. I'm at the 5-0 spot, and then Solomon, Kevin, and Corey all mixed together at 2-3. Again, determined by points. Right now, they're all very close in points. And then Greg's just a game back, not too far back in points either. And the division records are all fairly similar. So tight grouping there of those 4 guys. Looking at the matchups for this week, we're going out of the division again. We get Sade versus Solomon. I like that one. That's probably my favorite matchup of the week. Be interested to see how that one shakes out. Get Tank against the Boot Barn, 4-1 Tank. gets the 2 and 3 Ross. Daggy, Greg, 0 and 5 versus 1 and 4. Good matchup there too. Jake versus Corey. I'd say both guys are definitely wanting to get a win there and get a leg up in the division. And then Ryan's newly improved team takes on me. So get to play Cooper Cup 2 weeks in a row. Pretty excited about that. So that's all I got for the review. We'll be back with the preview this week. Should have some time to get that recorded. So talk to you guys later.